Hi there, this is Matt at State of Flux here with the review for Jaws the Revenge. This time, it's personal. This is a movie that is a blatant ripoff of Aliens, let's be honest, except taking all that quality and just like sapping it right out of there. This is a movie notorious for its awfulness. And does it earn it? Kind of absolutely. It is like easily one of the stupidest movies that I think ever had a huge budget applied to it. I think without question. That said, it is infinitely more watchable than either of the previous two Jaws installments. The second one is probably the best of the sequels. It's not a bad movie, but there's just this base level of blandness that is inescapable, and when you're done watching the movie, you're like, why did I watch this movie? I could have just watched Jaws. Jaws 3 is awful without having any kind of fun to it, which is weird because it has this 3D gimmick thing. This movie is awful and everybody treats it as if they're making the first Jaws again. Everybody is there, on point, with serious, fervent earnestness. This doesn't feel like a cash grab for the people in front of the camera. And the absurdity of the script is almost leaned into from the people behind the scenes, making for this perplexing movie that you can't look away. And I both hate and also kind of love this movie. The exact moment that won me over in like, I have to have this movie on my shelf forever and for always, is the scene where Mike Brody is in like a serious argument with his wife, and they are just like going at it, and he stops mid-argument and says, "I've always wanted to make love to a welder. I've dreamed about it ever since I was a child." And he says it with absolute sincerity, and it was that moment that I was like, that might be the single greatest line of dialogue out of context in all of cinema. I loved that moment so much. I laughed out loud in my rewatch for like 5 minutes straight, uncontrollably. And then it hit all my socials. The plot of this is that the Brody family has suffered a tremendous loss with Martin Brody having passed away off camera. The movie was originally supposed to open with Roy Scheider reprising his role and getting killed by the shark, but they transposed his plot over to Sean Brody, the youngest kid, and he gets killed by the shark, which causes Lorraine Gary's character, Ellen Brody, to go into a deep traumatic state where she is convinced that sharks are out to get her family, which, you know, somewhat makes sense after having 2 shark attack films attacking her husband and 3 following Michael and Sean. Yeah, I get it. Why she doesn't move to like bumblefuck nowhere where there is no water makes no sense to me, but you know, whatever. Instead, she gets convinced by Michael to go to the Bahamas on vacation for Christmas and spend time with her there, or with him there and his family. And that's when the shark follows them to from Amity to the Bahamas. And this is really a shark revenge story. But the Lorraine Gary character, Ellen Brody, is very obviously patterned. This was, what, just 18 months or whatever after Jaws had come out. Or, no, not Jaws, this is Jaws. Aliens had come out. And clearly they just were capitalizing on the success that that movie had and trying to see if they could put that plot into a Jaws film to really make it soar and work. Lorraine Gary came out of retirement for this movie, and this remains her last performance. you know, she's not bad in the movie. That's the thing, is everybody's good in the movie. Everybody's convincing in the movie. Right down to Michael effing Caine, who won an Oscar while making this movie. Not for this movie, and he would, I think, go on to be nominated for a Razzie the following year, but I digress. The people in front of the camera are really kind of working their magic on this script that is baffling, and it's kind of remarkable. This is also the movie where you get the most shark. If you were there for shark, you get a lot of it in this movie. I think that's why I watched it a lot when I was a kid. And this is the first time I've seen it since the VHS days. So since the 90s, this was my first rewatch. And as fake looking as that shark looks, it does look better than the shark in 2 or 3. So I have to give it credit there. And there's 1 or 2 shots in the movie that are actually kind of like startling. But if you're there for shark mayhem, this movie's got it. If you're there for like ludicrous dialogue, this movie's got it. If you're there for a good time, this movie's got it. If you're there for any semblance of intelligence, this movie does not got it. You should do better to watch, you know, maybe the first movie. But yeah, this movie is, like I kind of hypothesized it might be, is so radically and astonishingly bad. It kind of hurls itself around the sun and becomes an engaging experience if you're willing to go with it. If you're coming into this movie and you just think this movie is stupid and not willing to partake in what the film has to offer, you're gonna hate it, because it is mind-numbingly stupid. But if you just kind of go with it, I think it's a better photographed movie than either of the previous 2 installments. It has good use of color, excellent photography underwater, especially in the blue, clear, crisp water in the Bahamas. It has some strong action set pieces. It has a shark that blows up inexplicably. Like, they kind of throw in a line of dialogue that maybe can get away with it, but it really doesn't. And the original ending of this film, as it was theatrically released, as well as what you would have seen on like TNT, ironically, doesn't have the explosion. It has the shark getting just penetrated by the front of the boat. Just like ramming it right in and killing the fuck out of that thing as it goes sinking down. And I prefer that ending. I think that ending is the stronger ending. This movie does utilize flashback kind of well too, shockingly well, with the deep sepia tone flashback when Sean is being laid to rest. And Lorraine Gary goes back to the best scene in the first Jaws movie of Sean and Roy Scheider's character, Martin, mimicking each other. And then this movie mimics that scene later on with Mike and his daughter Thea. And then at the end of the movie, when Lorraine Gary is about to get her revenge on this shark that has been tormenting her, even though it's not the shark, because every shark in the previous movies have all been, you know, exploded in some way or like electrified. But when she finally gets her revenge, she flashes back to Brody, she flashes back to Sean, she flashes back to Thea, she flashes back to Brody one more time, smile you son of a... But again, explosion and not just the full penetration. I was on board with the full penetration. That was a weird thing to say. But it's okay, that's fitting for this movie. This movie is also really, like, shockingly horny, like, all the way through. Mike and his wife have a very healthy sexual relationship, and this film is constantly telling you that, which is fascinating to me. I also like the young actress who played Thea. She has a tragically sad history that came out after the film came out and whatnot. But she was a gifted young actress and quite good in this. And I like the guy who plays Mike. He's really good. I just know him as the guy that could have been the boyfriend in in Halloween 2 for Laurie Strode, but isn't, kind of. Like, he's quite good in this movie that is just so bad. But yeah, I can't help but enjoy this film. I think this film defies a star rating, because, like, honestly, a star rating for this film, it is a mess. It is, and the mess is all at script level. There's nothing really going for it script-wise. There are moments in this where Ellen Brody is having, like, a psychic link to the shark, and as the shark is attacking the boat, she starts, like, having, like, falls as if it's some supernatural kind of thriller. But yeah, and apparently there's a subplot with, like, voodoo, like, iconography and stuff like that, which is why when the camera makes a big deal of it when Ellen sees the statue that Mike's wife had constructed and whatnot. Like, there was a voodoo element subplot that is what tethered the shark to her, and the shark is being manipulated, but by who, kind of thing. It was weird, and thank God all that was taken out, because I think that would have made this already terrible movie even worse. But as I was saying, it defies a star rating, because honestly this isn't very good. It's like 1 star, and that's probably being generous. But I have not had so much fun watching a bad movie as I have when I watched this. I did when I was a kid. I recognized this was a stupid movie even when I was young, but I kept rewatching this one. And I don't think that it is nostalgia that is giving me the urge to give this like 3 stars, because I haven't watched it since I was a kid and hardly remembered it. The things that I did remember, I remembered kind of differently than they unfolded at the end of the day. And if nostalgia really did have, like, any play in this, then how come I didn't have the same response when I watched Jaws 3? Jaws 3 was the one that I watched the most when I was a kid, because I liked all the shark stuff in that, and the shark stuff in that is few and far between. And I hated that movie. So I don't think that's a nostalgia play. I think this is just a good time, and I have to recognize a good time when I see it, which gets this movie up to 3 stars in my book. But again, it's not a good movie, it's a good time at the movies. And ultimately, that's what a summer blockbuster should be doing. So I give this one as like a pure guilty pleasure. The only 2 Jaws movies that will remain on my rack are the original Jaws, which I think is a true, genuine masterpiece, and this buffoonery of a sequel that is somehow compelling because of how absurd it is. So yeah, there you have it. That's my thoughts on Jaws: The Revenge. I've talked way more about this movie than I probably should. But I'm almost tempted to get people together to do like a commentary on this film, because it is fun and I want to hear what other people's insight is into this film as we watch. It's been a while since I've done a commentary, so I don't know if I'll do one, but if I do, it'll be going up here. Maybe for Christmas. This is a weird Christmas movie, which segues into what my next tease for the next Jaws review that I will be doing. There's one more, well, there's kind of 2 more Jaws movies. One of them is called Cruel Jaws. I have never seen it, but it is Jaws in name only, just as like Dario Argento's Bay of Blood was called Last House on the Left 2 when it was originally released in the United States. They just kind of capitalized by taking a foreign film and throwing the franchise title on it. Cruel Jaws was a movie that I have access to. I don't think I will review it unless you drop down in the comments below specifically that you want me to review it. But being that this is a Christmas movie, I feel like this franchise should end with a Christmas movie. And that's my tease for the next Jaws review you will see from me. Thanks for watching, like, subscribe. Let me know what you think of this movie in the comments down below. I recognize it's bad, but did you have as much fun with it as I have? And if you didn't, maybe it's time to go back and watch it with a fresh set of eyes. It is a good time. The amount of time that that shark spends out of the water, like from whole face up, is shocking. And a lot of people give crap to the roaring shark that happens in this, which does happen. Yes, the shark roars quite a bit. In the first Jaws, the shark roars briefly. It doesn't sound like a lion's roar, kind of like this one does. It sounds more like the shark sounds like a boat keening, and I think that's where a lot of people think that it is the boat keening, but it's clearly the shark kind of like low growling in the first movie, so it's consistent, you know, whatever. Anyway, let me know what you think of the comments of this film in the comments down below. Should I review Cruel Jaws? If not, I'm going to review another one next week. Thanks for watching, like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. Peace.